Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome and thank all of you for joining us for this exciting day in the history of the Louisiana Tech football program. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the members of the media that have been here, that are here with us today. Thank you so much for your patience throughout this process and all of your coverage. We genuinely appreciate all that you do for Louisiana Tech. Out of respect for our media guests and our special guests this afternoon, if you have a cell phone, please put that on vibrate or turn that off altogether so as not to disrupt the proceedings this afternoon. Quick rundown of how we'll conduct the press conference. Momentarily, I'll introduce Louisiana Tech President-elect and Chair of the Search Committee, Dr. Les Geis, who will have some opening remarks. Following Dr. Geis's comments, he will introduce Louisiana Tech President Dr. Dan Renaud, who will also have some comments and will introduce you to our new head football coach. Following the coach, Athletics Director Bruce Vandevelde will moderate a media question and answer session, after which we will bring the press conference to a close. After we conclude the press conference, we will make available Dr. Geis, President Renaud, our new head coach, and Bruce Vandevelde will make them available to you, the media, for follow-up questions and for photo opportunities. We also have an official press release available and some resources, some online resources for the media. So please see Malcolm Butler, Patrick Walsh, or myself, or one of the other media representatives here will certainly point you in the right direction for those resources. So at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Louisiana Tech University President-elect, Executive Vice President and Chair of the Search Committee, Dr. Les Geis.
Well, thank you. What a great day for Louisiana Tech University, and what a great day for the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. I'm thrilled to see all of you here. It's a great, great turnout. I want to begin by thanking President Renaud for giving me the chance 1 week ago from today to chair the search committee. It was kind of a busy and interesting time of my life, but I tell you, it was a thrill, and he told me that this coach was going to be my coach and that he wanted to make sure that I had a good opportunity to get to know the coaching prospects and to make sure that this was a coach that I could work with and also to carry our vision forward for Louisiana Tech athletics in the future. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. I'd also like to recognize the members of the search committee, and this group worked really, really hard over the past week. Bruce Vandevelde, if you stand. Bruce is obviously the athletics director. His knowledge and expertise of this industry and all of the people around the nation was immensely helpful on this, and I thank him for his service. Also, James Liberatos is the chair of the Athletics Council, the dean of Applied and Natural Sciences. James represented the faculty and the university as we went through these interviews, and James was enormously helpful as well. Steve Davison. Steve Davison, I have seen firsthand what a bulldog Steve Davison is. We all owe Steve a great debt of gratitude for the tremendous work and the passion, and not saying let's settle, let's keep pushing, and let's make sure that we bring the right person to Louisiana Tech that's the right fit. And I appreciate Steve and all of your support there. Vice President Terry McConaughey, representing academic affairs and the administration, has also been real closely involved in this from the beginning. I think Dr. Jim King is Jim here, Vice President from Student Affairs, that represented the students from an administrative perspective. And our SGA President and student leader, Will Dearman. Will, please stand up. Where are you, Will? Will was intimately involved with this from the beginning and did a great job of providing the student perspective, the student body perspective in this search process. It was very beneficial for me to serve on this committee. I've served on them before, but this one was very intense and very helpful for me. And two big things I learned from this: to really see the rapidly changing dynamics of college football. It is changing fast, and I think I've gained a lot by being a part of that, and I think that'll help me in making decisions as we go forward. The other thing that really struck me, and I know we talked about this on our committee, is the great national reputation of Louisiana Tech University, both on the academic and athletic side. I cannot tell you how many people told us that they were excited to be being considered for this position and that they would really love to be here. It was really a wonderful experience from that standpoint. We vetted many candidates. We looked at a lot of resumes. We talked to a lot of people. We talked to a lot of people about a lot of people. We interviewed a large number of people. But we thought it was important that we be very thorough and very careful in our selection of the next head coach to make sure that it was the right fit for Louisiana Tech. Fortunately, Bruce brought with him a list of the qualifications that our football team provided that said what they would like to see in the next head coach. And we began to factor that in from the beginning on each one of the candidates that we considered, and it was really an impressive. We could not have written a better set of qualifications ourselves, and so we appreciate the team for doing that and providing that feedback. I'll tell you some of the criteria that we considered. First, we wanted to continue the Louisiana Tech tradition of winning and to put an exciting product on the field. You know, that is certainly very important to all of us. We want to enhance our competitiveness to win championships, to conference championships, to go to bowl games, and to move up in national rankings. That's certainly important to all of us. But first and foremost, we want to make sure that we uphold the core values or the tenets of Louisiana Tech, and those are integrity, pride, and excellence. And that stood through in the candidate that we selected. We want someone that will develop our student athletes both on the field but for success in life. And we want somebody that will build our community and our alumni to ensure that we have long-term success of the program, and that's absolutely essential. So after all of these considerations, our search committee was unanimous in our agreement that the candidates going to be introduced very soon clearly met all of those criteria and was the number one candidate. And I am personally very thrilled to have this person be on my team when I become president in July of this next year. And I'm glad to have him a member of the Louisiana Tech family right now. So at this point, I'd like to introduce President Dan Renaud to introduce our new head coach.
I thought I was going to glide into retirement. You have to be prepared, Les, for the unexpected. Last 2 weeks have been quite interesting. And this is the 7th head coach during my reign, and I certainly hope it's the last during my reign. I want to begin by introducing the power behind the coach, his wife Jennifer, and their 2 children. Chad and Haley is here, and they also have Trey. Would you please stand and face this group and let them welcome you here? They are now red and blue and a part of the Tech family. I am so pleased to mention just 2 or 3 things and get to our head coach. Skip Holtz won back-to-back Conference USA championships with East Carolina in 2008 and 2009. Coach Holtz has participated in 15 postseason games in his coaching career, including 7 as head coach. He was honored with the 1996 with the National Football Foundation Man of the Year Award and was a member of the Foundation's Ethics Committee. Skip was named the 2001 Assistant Coach of the Year by the All-American Football Foundation for his success as the offensive coordinator for the University of South Carolina in the SEC. He was the first head coach in Conference USA history to defeat 3 nationally ranked teams in a row, Boise State, Virginia Tech, and West Virginia. And in 2008, Holtz led the Pirates to a number 14 ranking in the BCS and was named Conference USA's Coach of the Year. He's a man who embraces what we call our tenets: pride, purpose, and passion, wrapped in an envelope of integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, our next head coach, Coach Skip Holtz.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. These colors cost me a trip to the mall with my wife and my daughter last night. So, but I am gladly embracing them. A lot of people I need to thank. Dr. Renaud, the pleasure and the honor that I've had to have the opportunity to be around you and all the positive things that people around the country have to say about you is definitely part of the image that is continuing to grow with Louisiana Tech and its fan base. To Dr. Geis, for having the opportunity to sit in these meetings with you and the respect I have for you. And the one thing that you talked with me that really hit home to me, which knew that this was the type of man I wanted to work for when you talked about the trust and integrity and how important that is. And just what an honor it's been for me to have the opportunity to get around you. And Bruce, to, again, the phone calls that I made, the number of people that rant and raved and talked about you as being one of the good ones in this business and the success that you've had and everywhere that you've been. You've got a great reputation in this business, and it's certainly been an honor for me to have the opportunity to do the research. To the Hall of Fame athlete, Steve, and the entire Davidson family, that has continued to grow. It started as he hit one home run to all this. He's now a Hall of Fame athlete, but it has certainly been an honor for me to have the opportunity to get to know you and the entire Davidson family with everything you do for the program. Thank you. But the phone calls, the 10 of them that I made to you yesterday, continuing to ask about nitpick things and everything. I do appreciate the opportunity. It is certainly an honor for me to be standing here today. It is an honor for me, and I would not be here without first having the opportunity to thank so many people. The players, having the opportunity to watch this football team play on TV is one of the reasons that I'm standing here today. I think Coach Dykes did a great job with this football team. I've been a friend of his for a long time, and I thought he did a great job here in building and laying some foundation things that I look forward to carrying on. But also to have the opportunity to watch this football team play. I was a voting member of the coaches this year and enjoyed every week moving them up in my poll as they were playing in a team that I was really watching with great excitement and great enthusiasm because of the way they played, because of the blood, sweat, and the tears they put into this program, because of the way they played on the field. They played with such passion. And having the opportunity to watch them play and the excitement and the energy are all things and the reasons that I'm standing here today. I had a chance to really do a lot of research on Louisiana Tech. And the image that this university holds around the country is one that is of great pride, I know, in the Ruston community and the entire state of Louisiana. I'm telling you, as I called people like the Barry Alvarezes and the Lou Perkins and a lot of people that I've worked for, Dr. Lou, I didn't call my dad, I called Dr. Lou, to get an opinion on what's your evaluation of where the program is, where it can go, the people that are running it. And it's unbelievable the image that this university has around the country. It was one that I definitely shared, but it was great to continue to hear that echoed by so many people that I have such great respect for around the country. I'm excited to have the opportunity to continue to build on the academic success that has been going on the field here. When you look at the APR, which is the new rating that everybody uses, and the graduation rates, because ultimately that's still the number one goal that we have, is to make sure that we graduate every student athlete that comes into our program with what we're trying to do and to continue to build on the great academic success that's been here. I just had the opportunity to have a team meeting and talk with the team and stand there and shake every young man's hand as he walked out the door, and to see the type of young men that are in this program as they take their hat off and look you in the eye and shake your hand and say, "Thank you, Coach, we're excited about you being here." To see the type of people that are on this football team and the type of young men that are going to represent this great university in this community. To continue to build on that and continue to build on the huge amount of academic or athletic success that this football team has had. I think when you look at what they've done over the last couple years, I'm really looking forward to having an opportunity to build on a foundation that has been built here. But the last two coaches have been here, and Coach Dooley and Coach Dykes, and I am looking forward to having the opportunity to being the head football coach. There's plenty of challenges. There's plenty of challenges as you walk into a new conference, Conference USA, a conference that I am very familiar with, and having the opportunity to talk in the interview process about now who all's in the conference now, because it's changed so much from even 2 years ago with teams that have come out and gone in, and the ever-changing landscape that we live in with the conference affiliation today. But to have the opportunity to get into a new conference, I believe we only play 2 teams that were on our schedule a year ago. I believe we only have 2 carryover games from a year ago. So I think there's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of great challenges with that. We had 31 very talented seniors that just walked out the door that did a great job representing this program and building some success and some wins on the field. But there's a lot of great players that are coming back too. And everybody wants to talk about the 31 seniors and everything they did, but I get excited when I look at the young freshman running backs that are running around on the field. I get excited when I watch the kick returners, some of the young defense linemen and the way that they were playing up front. I think there's a lot of positive things to build on, but there's also a lot of challenges with that as well. I think we have some challenges right now to put a staff together. There certainly is not a shortage of names or interest, just as Dr. Geis experienced in the process for this head coaching position. But I can tell you, one of the big things that we're going to have to do is put together a staff that's going to do a great job recruiting this talent-rich state of Louisiana. I think that's one of the key components that we have to do as we put this together to replace some of the holes that are just walking out. But for me, it's all about the excitement level that I share in being here. And I came in and started doing a little bit of research when I first got the phone call about, I'm going to learn a little bit more about Louisiana Tech. And every step I took, and the more you learn, the more excited I got about this process. And what started out having the opportunity to sit down with the 4 gentlemen and talk a little bit about Louisiana Tech, the longer it went on and the more excited I got and the more people I called, the more excited I got, up until when I told my wife, and we were talking about it last night, it was like, you know what? It's not about, you know what, boy, is this something we should be interested in? It was, what do we need to do to get this job? This is a place I want to be. This is a place with the excitement, the energy, the enthusiasm, the support in the community, and watching this program grow. I think there can be great things here, and I am honored to have the opportunity to be here, and I really look forward to the future of Louisiana Tech football. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, we'll go ahead at this time and open it up to the media. Any questions all of you would like to have?
I'm trying to contain myself so I don't make me embarrass myself in front of all these people.
Coach, talk about your offensive and defensive philosophy, basically, or detail, whatever.
Offensive and defensive philosophy. I told the players today, there's an adage that says if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think it would not be very intelligent to come in here and say, you know what, we're going to run a wishbone offense. When you look at the success that this team has had. And right now I think both Coach Dooley and Dykes have recruited to this offense. And it has spent 6 years of building this. And I am one of those ones that I believe you mold your offense around your personnel more than you try and put a square peg in a round hole. And so for me right now, from an offensive standpoint, I love offense as my background. I love the passing game. I love the enthusiasm of it. I love the upbeat tempo that's going on, and we will stay with that. Defensively, I like basing everything out of the 4-3. We talked about the 2 deep on the defensive front just a minute ago, and the excitement level with some of those young players that are coming along that I would want to keep with. But I think defensively you've got to be multiple today. You've got to have 3-down packages as well as 4-down packages. And I think you've got to be able to play both zone coverage and you've got to be able to play pressure and man. What everybody in the fan world knows of as you got to be able to blitz. When it's not working, blitz. if we're not having success, blitz. Get after them. That'll be the key, blitz. But that's kind of what we're going to start with as we put this staff together right now.
With an offense that scored so quickly, there was a lot of challenges on the defense
Yes, there
side
are.
of the ball. How do you try and combat that with the defense being on the field a lot because your offense is so good?
Right. Well, I think you've got to be able to play fast, but I think the two have to complement each other. There's going to be some games where you just got to tell the defense, hold on, make the best of it. We got to score some points in this one, and you try and outscore them. There's going to be other games that we may have to slow it down at times. We may have to do some things to help protect our defense, but that's why I think it's so important that you can, because this is a lot of people are going to this upbeat, fast type tempo. You get a chance to practice against it every day. But I think the two have to complement each other as well. And there's going to be times that we're going to have to slow things down a little bit on offense, not leave what we do, but just not snap the ball with 28 seconds left on the play clock to try and help our defense a little bit and breathe. And if we scored in 3 plays or had a couple 3-and-outs and the defense was out there for a long drive, then that's where you've got to get a little bit conservative offensively, make first downs, control the ball a little bit more, and not necessarily that's not the time to start taking your deep shots to throw them right back on the field. So I think the two have to go together.
Less than 2 months from signing day here, Skip. What are you going to go out there and tell the commits that have been in the fold for a little while, and how much, how quick are you going to be out there on the recruiting trail?
Well, we have a dinner tonight. We have a number of recruits that are on campus today. And so we have a dinner tonight that when I leave here, I'll go to a dinner talking a little bit about our philosophy and what we're trying to do and how we're trying to build it here. I think they're the two most important things. After having that team meeting today, we have a dead period in January, and I will meet with every player on our team individually for about 15 or 20 minutes that week that we're not allowed to go on the road. Outside of that, the two biggest priorities right now are to put the coaching staff in place and to get on the road and replace some of these players that just walked out of here. Because once we hit January or February and signing date, I mean, at that point, that's the team we have. Then we got to coach them. So we've got to do everything we can from a recruiting standpoint for the next 2 months.
The last few guys that were standing where you were had 0 head coaching experience when they took over. What advantage do you think this gives you to have over 150 games of head coaching experience?
Well, I think there's no doubt it makes a difference. I think it makes a difference just having been there before, and this is now my 4th opportunity to put a staff together. And I go back to when I first became a head coach at the University of Connecticut, and I was 29 years old. And I remember walking into the office after my press conference and shutting the door and opening the drawers and going, okay, where's the manual on how you run this thing? I mean, where do I find that, and where do I get my coaches? Where do we recruit? Well, after doing this, you have a little bit of a Rolodex of coaches that you've either worked with, played against, coached against, et cetera. And I think that's all kind of helps in the experience part of it. Plus, this will be the 4th staff that I've put together, and there's some things I feel really strongly about a staff. I think you need some coaches. I think you need some recruiters. I don't think you can have a whole staff of either. I think we need some Louisiana Tech ties. I think we need some Louisiana recruiting ties. We need some Texas ties. I mean, those are all variables that are going to go together rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to hire him, and him, and him. I think you can't put a staff together until you know what school you're putting it together for.
Coach, you talked about returning to Conference USA or having been there.
Yes.
When you talked with the board, what was that you were able to bring to the table as you get ready to make that?
Well, and as I said, I'm excited to be back in Conference USA. I really am, after having spent 5 great years there at East Carolina. But when we started talking about the teams, most of them have changed. Most of them have changed because we're going to have the opportunity to play East Carolina next year. We're going to play Southern Miss and UAB and Tulsa and Rice, David Bailiff over at Rice. I mean, all those guys that I've had an opportunity to line up and compete against. And so from that standpoint, it goes into the experience factor again, where you have a little bit of history in Conference USA. And nothing will make me more excited than to put my 3rd Conference USA championship ring on my finger at the end of one of these years. I got the first phone call, I believe it was on Monday. What is today? It's been such a whirlwind. It is Friday. I guess it was maybe Tuesday. And I was asked then on Wednesday. I was called and asked how long it would take me to get to a flight. To be honest with you, I was on a golf course. and I was on the third hole, and I got a phone call that said, "Can you make a 2:30 flight?" And I said, "Absolutely impossible, but I can make one at 4." And so I said goodbye to the golf game, and I went and got on the airplane and had the opportunity to meet with the committee here. And once met with the committee, I wanted to have the opportunity to go home and talk to my wife. I landed back in Tampa at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Is that correct? At 1 o'clock on Thursday. And at 5 o'clock, they were at the mall buying red and blue. You know, I mean, and that's really the timetable. It went very rapid. It went very fast once it started. But like I said, for me, I've been on this phone for more or less about 3 days, learning everything I can about this great university. And the more you learn about it, the more excited I got.
Coach, the way your last job ended, do you see this as an opportunity to redeem yourself?
It's not so much redemption. I felt like we were doing some great things at South Florida. I mean, when you look at, we walked in there academically, they were last in the Big East when we got there. We were second when they left. We were making some great strides. We went through an injury-plagued year this year where we had to play 3 quarterbacks, and we started 8 freshmen or sophomores on the offensive side of the ball. So I certainly don't feel like, you know what, it's about redemption, or I don't feel like we weren't successful at South Florida. I felt like we ran out of time. You know, and so I am excited to be where I am right now with the quality of people that I've had the opportunity to interact with here at Louisiana Tech, with the players, with the team, with the schedule, with what we're doing moving forward, the excitement of the facility building being talked about, being built in this end zone, and the progress of where this school can go with new conference affiliations and alignments. I don't think there's a ceiling on this program. So for me, it's not about redemption as much as it's about excitement and having the opportunity to grow a program like this.
Coach, according to your father today, he said that it almost seemed like you had plans off the field that you were ready to go to. What was it about this process where you really started, okay, maybe this is something that I really need to go back to and coach again?
Well, like I said, for me it was, I knew I wanted to coach again, but when we went through the last couple years, I was tired. And I even said to my wife, I'm tired, I'm worn out. I feel like I have been fighting so hard to grow it in so many areas that, you know what, with this time away, I'm going to get my feet on the ground. And so I was not looking to say, hey, let's look at that job or look at that job. I didn't apply for all these jobs. I wasn't chasing all these jobs. And when I got the phone call, it was like, you know what? I mean, I've always been impressed with that program and what they've done, because I think this program, they've always done more with less. Which I think is a real tribute to the community, to the fan base, to the athletes, to the coaches that have built this. And that's part of what I want to be a part of. We can overachieve here. I believe that. And so this brought me here more than coaching brought me back into coaching, because I had told my wife I was prepared to sit a year if that's what I needed to do, but I wanted to be a head coach again. And when this came up, it was as much about, you know what, we can't let this one walk away. We can't. This is one that I wanted to have the opportunity to stand here, and I'm excited about it.
Coach, when you're doing that research on the depth chart, what position group really stood out the most in this for Louisiana Tech?
The position of need.
I know the position that stood out the most that was most impressive.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you look at, I mean, we had a pretty good punter this year. He wasn't bad. You know. Didn't get to use him much, but when he had the opportunity, he was pretty good. You know, we had an All-American wide receiver. He was pretty special. I called Mark Snyder, the defense coordinator at Texas A&M, and started asking him about it. And it was like, holy cow. He said, they're as good or better than a lot of teams in our league. And I think, I mean, that's talking about the Southeast Conference and the impression that other coaches and administrators have about this program and the athletes that are here. There was a great quarterback who was very heady, who played very smart, who protected the ball, who didn't turn the ball over, gave him a chance to win. They had great wide receivers, 4 senior offensive linemen. I mean, that's part of so many of these guys that really stood out, that seemed to be part of the graduating class, but I talked about the other positions that excited me. I think in recruiting, the biggest needs we have right now, just looking at it, and I'll learn more about it as we continue to go, but the linebacker core with some of the injuries and graduation needs to be addressed. The offensive line needs to be addressed. I know there's some good young quarterbacks in the program I'm looking forward to working with. I know there's 2 great freshman tailbacks that are in this program, as I talked about. So I think there's still a lot of great building blocks to build on, but we definitely have got to fill a couple holes as well.
What's your timeline on the staff?
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, and that's kind of we'll kind of really begin on that tonight. I've got a lot of things put together in my head and on paper, and I've talked to a number of coaches about their interest level, and so now it's just going to be a matter of starting to put it together. But I would like to think, tomorrow is the last day that you're allowed to go out on the road recruiting, and then it becomes a dead period for football. So we'll have to do everything from the office until we can go back out in the first week of January. So I don't think there's you got to get it together today because you're not losing time on the road, but you do have to get it together rather rapidly because we've got a lot of evaluations we've got to do from a recruiting standpoint and get organized to put it together to get a plan for January because we are behind.
After they made the phone call to you Monday, who did you make your first phone call to, and also how much do you rely on your pops in something like this?
Well, I tried to get hold of him yesterday, and he was playing golf at a little place in Georgia at Augusta, and you're not allowed to have cell phones there. So when I called him, part of this process, when I said we're going to do this as quick as we can as a family, and I'll try and call you. I get home at 1. I'm going to try and call you by 5 or 6 o'clock. Well, he was on the golf course and I couldn't reach him, and so it was like the last thing I want him to do is get a text because he'll beat me up over. Oh, yeah, well, I got to find out where you're working by the media. I mean, so I was trying to get hold of him. To get hold when that first happened. But when I got the first phone call went to him. I called him and told him that kind of this was happening and it was going on, and he said, "Oh, great, keep me informed." But that was my first phone call.
Coach, you talked about how much, I guess, Louisiana Tech caught your eye this year.
Yes.
And I think, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think they probably had more national attention this year than they ever have. Obviously, the last couple weeks temporarily sort of curb the momentum, but what's the challenge or what's your plan to capture that momentum and build on it?
Well, we've got to do this. We've got to build this one brick at a time, one day at a time, and that's the only way to build it. I mean, right now the enthusiasm. I mean, talking to those players, I think there's great excitement in those players. There's energy in them. They're disappointed for the way it ended. The way it ended, they are not sitting back and going, wow, look at everything we accomplished. Let's sit back and enjoy this for a while. I think their attitude and their mindset right now is let's roll up our sleeves and go to work. 2013 starts now. Let's get in the weight room. Let's start doing what we got to do to get ready for next season. I think they're still hungry. Even with everything they were able to accomplish, they're still hungry. And I think putting a head coach in place, putting a staff in place, putting recruits in place, all is going to be part of the momentum that we've got to continue to build on. And I think it's not going to be any one special thing. As I said earlier, I'm a piece of the puzzle. I mean, I'm one piece of the puzzle, and we've got a pretty big jigsaw puzzle we're putting together right now for the 2013 season. And so there are a lot of other pieces that we have to put around to start to formulate this picture.
Is this job you're taking now, is it comparable to any one you've stepped into in the past?
Probably not. And I say that because when we walked into Connecticut and when we walked into East Carolina, both of those were coming off 1, 2, 3 win type of seasons. When you look at, there was a little adversity at South Florida when I went in there over the way that whole thing happened and transpired. But I think, no, it's probably stepping into something that I think there's a lot of great things about this university. I think there's been a lot of great foundations that have been laid over the last 6 years with the 2 coaches that have been here that have kind of built a foundation to build this program that you're going to have the opportunity to walk into. So I think it's going to be a little bit different because it's not building from the ground up. I think you've got a great nucleus that you get an opportunity to start with. And that's all the questions. I just want to say again, thank you and how excited I am to have the opportunity to be the head football coach. Thank you very much.